What makes Demon Slayer a great series? Is it the incredible animation by Studio Ufotable, the simple yet effective narrative, the relatable and likable cast of characters? Or maybe it's all of this that comes together in a way that elevates the series beyond the sum of its parts. Hi my friends, I'm Mike and welcome to the Lions Lounge, where today we'll be talking about Demon Slayer, and more specifically, the new movie Mugen Train. And then we'll make a cocktail inspired by one of the primary characters of the film. It's also worth noting that while I'm going to do my best to avoid spoilers for the outcome of the movie, at least initially, it's difficult to talk about it without revealing some details. So if you hate spoilers, I encourage you to check it out first and then come back here. With that out of the way, I want to quickly give a brief summary of where Mugen Train sits in the story. As if you didn't know, it's canon, which when it was announced, I was a little surprised this arc would be adapted this way. But more on that later. Mugen Train picks up right after the events of the first season. After our main characters, Tanjiro, Nezuko, Zenitsu, and Inosuke have barely survived a fight with one of the 12 Kizuki, Rui, and have undergone training to prepare themselves for future encounters. In the meantime, the leader of the demons, Muzan Kibutsuchi, has learned of Rui's death and summons the remaining lower members of the 12 Kizuki, where he immediately eliminates all but one of them, deeming them useless. The one he doesn't kill is Lower Moon 1 Enmu, whose personality impresses Muzan enough to provide him with more blood and more power, and orders Enmu to kill the Hashira and Tanjiro. And this is where we find the group at the start of the film, having all been assigned to travel aboard the Mugen Train, where they'll join up with Kyojuro Rengoku, the Flame Hashira, as the train has experienced a good number of disappearances, most likely caused by a demon. As I said earlier, I was surprised when I learned this arc was being made into a film as opposed to being part of season 2. But after watching it, I can honestly say it was a perfect adaptation. Ufotable already showed they could nail the action scenes and quiet moments in the first season, and the film does not disappoint, elevating these fights to be some of, if not the best I've seen in anime. And watching it on the big screen didn't hurt either. The plot itself is initially pretty straightforward and what you'd expect after the end of the first season. Tanjiro and the group fight to defeat Enmu, but it's how it's directed and animated that gives the film its weight, especially in the case of Tanjiro and Rengoku. In order to explain this though, I really have to spoil the movie, so if you want to avoid this, skip to this part of the time code where I'm going to make my cocktail. In the film, as the group is monitoring the train for the demon, unbeknownst to them, they're placed under a spell by Enmu that puts them to sleep, wherein human children who've been manipulated by the demon are ordered to join the dreams, find the core of the dreamer's soul, and destroy it, thereby killing them, all while the host is being shown happy dreams to distract them. In the case of Tanjiro, his dream is, of course, that his family is still alive, and he's back with them. Only with the help of Nezuko is he able to escape his dream and work to aid the others as well. What's really tragic is, in order to leave the dream world, he's forced to abandon his family and then take his own life, which really hits you after everything Tanjiro's been through. And while the others don't wake up as easily as him, it's apparent that Rengoku at least, even while asleep, has some resistance to the spell and soon after is critical to winning the battle. And it's at this point that I want to shift focus to Rengoku, who's formally introduced in this film and is more or less the main character of this arc. When he's introduced, it's clear Rengoku is friendly. He's extremely proud of his abilities and has a strong sense of justice. He immediately offers when he meets Tanjiro to become his master, and after demonstrating his abilities, the group becomes enamored with him, as it's clear his title as the Flame Hashira doesn't just describe his sword style, but also the warmth he gives off to everyone around him, due in no small part to his upbringing with his loving and encouraging mother, contrasted with his apathetic father. In the short span of the movie, you go from knowing nothing about this character to really loving him. And this is, unfortunately, why the ending of the film really hurts. Going into Mugen Train, I had already read this arc in the manga, so I knew what happened, But even knowing the outcome didn't prepare me for how gut-wrenchingly effective the anime was at conveying it. After the group put their all in defeating Enmu, and it seems they can finally relax, a new enemy appears, Akaza, the Upper Moon 3, a demon who far surpasses Enmu in strength, and one that no one but Rengoku can even come close to. And while we initially feel the Hashira's strength and are confident he can win, as the fight drags on and we see Akaza regenerate again and again, uneasiness creeps in, which, even knowing what's coming, I couldn't help but feel it. Rengoku grows tired, but Akaza is as energetic as when the battle first started. And slowly we see the Flame Hashira start to take blow after blow, until it becomes clear he can't win. But Rengoku isn't the type to give up, and launches one final attack, aptly named after himself, in what feels like him projecting his whole life and beliefs against Akaza, and bringing the fight to its heartbreaking close. During this arc, Rengoku became one of my favorite characters in Demon Slayer, which is incredible considering your first impression of him is that he's just a loud weirdo. But as you spend more time with him, you can't help but love him. So today I wanted to make a cocktail inspired by Rengoku that expressed his strong, proud, and fiery personality, as well as his flashy color scheme. So in other words, this is a flamed cocktail. This is gonna be a shake and drink, and you're gonna start with 2 ounces or 60 milliliters of Cranberry Puree. I'll leave the recipe in the description below, but this is basically just cranberries and sugar that are simmered for a little while. Next, 2 ounces or 60 milliliters of Grand Marnier. This is an orange liqueur made from cognac. Then 1.5 ounces or 45 milliliters of a White Rum. Add some ice and shake for 12 seconds. Then double strain into a martini glass, leaving some room at the top. And lastly, what we're gonna do is take a discarded Mandarin Husk, add it to the glass, then add 2 sugar cubes into the husk. Lastly, pour 1 ounce or 30 milliliters of 151 rum over the sugar cubes. And then we're just gonna light it. When you're ready to serve, just blow it out. And using a bar spoon, nudge the contents into the glass. And there you have my take on the Rengoku. Let's give it a taste. Very powerful. Obviously up front you get that 151, but it's kind of surprising how quickly it just sort of melds into that cranberry puree. So you do get a strong rum bite, but then it's kind of combined with that charred mandarin, which melds very well with the Grand Marnier and then finishes with the cranberries. It's actually a surprisingly complex cocktail once you get over the initial strength of the first taste. With the second sip, I can totally taste that cranberry puree a lot stronger. Over time, the 151 will incorporate with the rest of the ingredients and sort of act as a powerful base. Instead of just being overpowering, it'll be there, but it's not gonna be the highlight of the show. I would definitely recommend you be careful with this one for a couple reasons. One, there's the fire. Whenever you play with fire in a cocktail, you wanna be safe, and I always am, but not just safety in terms of the whole fire aspect. Safety also in the fact that it has 2.5 ounces of rum, one of which is 151, as well as that Grand Marnier, so there's a lot of alcohol in this cocktail. But I hope that I did Rengoku justice in making a strong and flashy drink. But friends, thank you for watching this video. If you have any ideas for any cocktails you'd like me to make based on your favorite series, let me know in the comments below. If you want to see what I make outside this channel, follow me on Twitter at Mr. Spacelion or Instagram at Mr.Spacelion. But thank you so much for stopping by the Lions Lounge. I've been your bartender, Mike, and I hope to see you next time.